Hey everyone, welcome to Between the Lines with Chris Curran. I'm your host, and today I'm with former professional baseball player, former New York Mets 12th round pick in the 2006 amateur baseball draft, and obviously voted the #1 semi-pro baseball player of all time, Nicky Flash Giarraputo. Oh
What's up, dude? That
man,
is perfect. That is
I knew,
perfect.
I knew
The
that was going to
number,
be the
yeah,
intro
that was good. The #1 ranked semi-pro player. I love it.
of all time.
Of all
Of
time.
all time, man.
Of all
People need to
time.
know that. That's a big deal. How's it going, man?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Just chipping away, having some fun. Working, playing baseball again.
Yeah, I saw that, dude. You're in a men's league?
I am. Yeah, it's a 28
Yeah.
and up. 28 and up out here. It's decently competitive, but I started to find out how much I wasn't in shape because I haven't played for
Yeah,
like
dude.
5 years
Yeah.
since 2019. So,
Yeah.
it was
That's right, because
interesting
you
to
were
get back
playing
out there.
before in Boston.
Yeah.
Where were you? It was up in Boston. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I think we had talked a little bit around because I played after I retired. I played 1 year of men's league, and it was because the Olympics were coming up, the European Championships were coming up, and this guy from Team Italy had kept in touch with me from when I was playing in indie ball, and he was wanting me to be a part of it. So I had to like go through paperwork, but in the meantime, I was like, I haven't played in. Well, I think dude, it was right before COVID. It's like 2018 or 19, but it was a good year and a half, 2 years where I hadn't done anything. And then it was a buddy of mine was getting ready to play for Team Israel. And he was like, come play with this men's league. This is how I'm getting in my reps. It's like, so I started doing
Oh
that and I
man.
found out quick as far as being in shape. That was, it
Yeah,
was fun, but it was different. It was fun, but it was, I don't know, man. It's interesting because like you have at bats and you're like just off, and if you do it every day, then you're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. When you just come out for a Sunday and you're just like goofing around during the week, it's hard, dude.
it
It's
is. It
hard.
is. Yeah,
It's hard to do a day job and then just show up on a Sunday and be like, let's do it.
let's not blow out my hammy this week.
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody
Yeah.
expects you to do certain things. Like, we need you to do this. I'm like, I'm not, just put me in the outfield and let me just chill.
Yeah, I know. People want you to go in there and kind of expect a 4 for 4, and you're like, dude, I'm lucky to be able to run in cleats at this point in time. That's one of my fears is like putting on cleats and everyone knows you're fast. And they're like, you should probably have like 40 stolen bases in this league. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to not fall when I run.
Yeah, I don't want to blow out my Achilles and then not get surgery because what's the point?
Yeah, I look
And now
like
I'm
Bambi out
hobbling.
there. I'm looking like Bambi in cleats because I haven't run in them for 6 years. So,
Yeah.
just trying to
6
figure
years,
it all out.
dude. That's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. It's
Yeah,
a
dude.
good time. I play with my brother, so that definitely helps.
Oh, that's awesome. I
So,
think that's the best part. Dude, any men's league I was involved in because I was coaching. I did a men's basketball league. And I got a hard time separating just me out there like having a good time between the people I'm playing with who think it's like this is their livelihood. It's game 7 of the finals. Do you know what I mean? And I remember the last men's basketball game I played in, or men's league game I played in, it was this dude set a back pick on me. And like behind me. It was like 2 minutes left in the game. We were down like 16, 17 points. I was just guarding a guy, and a dude set a screen behind me to like free up the opening. And I turned around and I was like, no. And I like pushed him. I was like, what are you doing? I pushed him, and in my head, I was like, what am I doing right now? I'm like, I'm pushing a random 38-year-old guy on a basketball court.
you're like,
And I
I'm
looked at
fighting a guy for taking it too serious.
That's what I was saying. I literally pushed him. I was like, what is your problem? And he's like, what? And I'm like, it's ain't the finals, bro. There's 2 minutes left in the game. You're setting a screen behind me. Like, are you trying to hurt me? What's your problem? And then I realized, I was like, this is it. This will be my last game.
Yeah. What are you, a free agent next year? You're trying to get an extension on your contract, dude?
What are we
you
doing,
talking
bro?
about?
You're just going to hop in your Honda and then you're going to head home and get in and out on the way home. So just relax, dude.
I'll see you at the drive-thru.
Yeah,
Calm down.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set a pic for
Protein
you
style.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely crazy once you get outside and start playing. I don't want to say regular sports, but
Kind
like
of is that.
outside of
Yeah.
that, it is. It is.
Yeah,
You
because it's
really
not
say it in a nice way.
structured. It's just
It's less structured, and you're just for you. Yeah, I agree. So for me, I go to these baseball games, and it's very serious for a lot of people. But for me, I'm like 3 for 3, 0 for 3. Who cares, dude? I get to play with my brother again. You know?
it's interesting because it's like you would think California's got tons of baseball, which there is. But it's like certain.
Yeah.
So it's like when I get asked to play, it's like sometimes you're out there. They have a hard time putting cleats on.
Yeah.
It's like I have no problem having a good time out here, but like for baseball, when it's like a guy throwing 48 miles an hour, you're like, this. Probably shouldn't be in this game.
Yeah.
I'll help
Yeah.
out, you know. But I like if it was serious, the team we played on a couple years back, they had some really good players, dude, and it was like just cool guys. Everybody was awesome. They were legit. So we had a good time, but it's hard getting into it with people that haven't been around. Like other teams, they do little things that just you're just kind of like, what is this? Like, are you staring at
Also,
me?
I
You
I
staring
stole
at
a
me, or did you try to
yeah.
slide in? You didn't slide. Like I don't understand what's happening right now.
I
Is he
stole
talking to me?
I stole a base like a month ago, and the second baseman by the way, there was no throw because I got such a good jump. It felt pretty good about myself, and the
Yeah.
second baseman did a fake tag. You know? You know? And my team's crazy. So
Yeah.
they're calling this dude out, and they, the other team kinda realized it was a bush league thing, to kinda
Yeah.
do, but, um, for me, I don't care.
I don't
I was
know. I
probably
don't
gonna
either.
slide anyways. It is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
you care, so you're doing that, but,
It's
it
dude,
is what it is.
I had it with a guy and we went through the lines. That's the funniest part. Is like after, you're shaking hands with the other team, which like I haven't done that in like a 10, 12 years. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, isn't it over? Let's just pack up and get out of here.
Yeah.
And we're like going through the line and this dude like hard fist bumped me. And it was like there was something going on in the game or he was doing something. And I was like, just go back to the dugout, dude. And then I guess the
Yeah.
rest of the game, this guy just couldn't wait to get to the thing. And he like hit my hand and he like knocked my arm back. And I was like, what the, like, what? And like it snapped into me again. I was like, what do you like? And then somebody behind me was like, here, just like kind of walked me out of the way. But I was like, I'm fine. What are you doing?
More confused.
Like,
I'm more
like, I'm confused, dude. What are we doing here? Why are you trying to knock my arm off my body? It's not that big of a deal. So
hey, that's Super Bowl Sunday for some people, though.
I know, dude. It really was.
That's the difference, man.
I know.
You
It's
know?
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true,
What
man.
are you gonna do? What's a little bit about tell us a little bit about your baseball journey. Like, because you were born and raised in California, right?
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
was
So
that, like California baseball?
I mean, it's all I knew. So my dad's major baseball guy. From the time I could remember, it was what we did constantly. It was just baseball, baseball, baseball. So, I mean, like anyone else, you get involved. You're playing in, pony baseball or little league, whatever it is. For me, it was interesting because like I just did like just having fun playing with my dad. Everything was. It's funny looking back because you're just like everything was major like in your mind at that time. So like
Yeah.
I remember this to this day because I used to tell everybody this like in Shetland, which is like T-ball, right? I remember I said I had 14 home runs because I would always hit the ball and run. And then as I look back, I realized I would hit the ball. It would be a ground ball up the middle. Nobody could field because we're 5 years old. And it would just go to the wall and everybody would just be chaos. And I would just like sprint around and I would get a home run and I'd be like, I'm leading the team in homers.
And you're like, "Hey, give me that ball." Give me
Yeah, I
that
was like,
ball.
I need it. I need it. I just set the record. So I remember saying that all the time. My dad would always joke around with me about it. And then I realized later on, I was like, oh, yeah, I was just hitting ground balls. But
In my mind, they were dingers.
in my mind, I'm the greatest of all time.
In your mind, you were already the greatest semi-pro baseball
Yeah,
player.
I'm already fast forwarding 20 years. Yeah, man.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, just like anyone else, started in youth sports, and it's all I ever wanted to do is play baseball. So like, I just was always around my dad playing ball, and then like anything happens within families, go through a divorce and stuff like that. It's like you're trying to figure out what to do with your time, and I was living with my mom, and as I got older, it was all I wanted to do was play baseball and basketball. Like, that was it. So when you're at school, you could play basketball, you could play soccer. There was never baseball. So it was just like I couldn't wait for school to get out. My dad picked me up, go play baseball, and just roll through. I mean, out here is interesting because now it's crazy because there's so much going on.
Yes.
Which I know you know about because you were part of your baseball academy that you had out there. Baseball is nuts now at the youth level. When we were kids, I think everybody has their stories about they were the greatest team, whatever it is. But how it is now wasn't like it was back in the day. So for me, it was the pony leagues we played at were stronger than Little League. So you played in pony. In my area, the pony league that I played in, we were really good. All levels, all stars would hit. It was prime time, and you showed up, and you had a good time through the summer. But you had ballers, and then from there were some travel teams. So I played on some travel teams here and there. But honestly, it was just like you were just having fun, just wanting to play ball. It wasn't like you're flying somewhere. Like I think the longest I drove was like 2 hours for a travel tournament. And it was like to play on an older team because they needed a guy and they were like, come on out. And it was like, I drove from my area to San Clemente. It was like 2 hours.
That's big though. At that time.
I know. Yeah.
Like I'm being recruited.
yeah. I'm the big time. Dude, I don't know how it was for you because playing up was like a big deal back then. It was like really cool to be like, oh, dude, like, hey, the 14-year-olds are playing down at a tournament and they need me. And I'm 12.
See, in Massachusetts, at least where I am, I'm in Brockton, so it's not baseball's not always the biggest thing. It was better then than it is now. Obviously, like that's kind of dwindled down. But for us, it was. I mean, we may have had like 1 or 2 travel teams in this area, and you had to pay money. So we were part of, like, I played a Little League, and it was like $10 and you got a T-shirt type of thing. So, but I was one of the youngest people to make. So there's minors, which is like 9 through 12. There's majors, which is 9 through 12. Usually you don't make majors until, if you're really good, 10, but 11 and 12. So it's like 2 years of minors, 2 years of majors.
Okay.
I actually moved up a little bit early. I played majors at 9. So that was interesting because I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade playing against like 6th graders when some of my friends were like the big dogs in minors type of thing. So, but I have 3 older brothers, so I got used to it quickly where I was 10 and my oldest brother was 17. He's 7 years apart. So I was playing with seniors in high school as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was like, I got to keep up. So anytime I went back to play town, it was just easier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. That's interesting, man. I mean, when we played up in Jersey together, I noticed like the Northeast is just different because you have the weather, so you can only play at certain times, and it's just like kids care so much. And out here, it gets taken for granted. So it's like you could play on a team where somebody cares a lot, and then everybody doesn't, and you get like you have dads coaching don't know what they're doing, and it's like, but everything's online now, so everybody thinks they could coach and be a guru, but it's back then, man, it was just like you played with your dad, and there were I don't know. We actually there were coaches back then that didn't have kids on the team. You remember that? I mean, you know what I mean? Like it was like, yo, you're going to go into, and like pony was basically, it was like age groups. So it was like Shetland would be like 4 and 5 or something, or 5 and 6 maybe. And then Pinto was 7 and 8. Mustang was 9 and 10.
Okay.
11 and 12 was Bronco. Pony was 13, 14. And then you're in high school. And then they had like Colt, which was like guys that didn't make a high school team, or maybe they were doing both if they could. That was like 15, 16. So it was like you're in your age group. If you're really good, you're in that league no matter what.
Yeah.
And you can play up, but it never really happened because it's like you're kind of going with age groups. So yeah, it's interesting looking back on all that. But I remember being like, oh, I'm gonna go up to this next year or whatever, and there's Coach Dave. Dave doesn't even have a kid, but Dave coaches the Phillies in pony. And you're just like, nowadays, right now, I'd be like, I couldn't imagine dropping my kid off and being like, there's a coach coaching. He doesn't have a kid on the team. He's just a guy who coaches kids. I'd be like, what?
I know. It's turned into dad ball.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
doubt.
and it's definitely, if you're doing it for town ball and you're not maybe not going anywhere, 100%, because that gives you your extra time coaching your kid and you're around the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave was just a whole different beast because he's like, I don't need no kids.
Yeah, Dave was like running a business and an institution, but running it through the Pony Phillies.
Yeah, because up here because over here we have, yeah, it's the same thing. Pony League 13, 14. We have Colt League, which is like
Okay,
15
yeah.
to 17 or 18. But we
Yeah.
also have like the competitive stuff, which was you have your high school. And if after high school, you either go play Colt League or you make the American Legion.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was like
yeah.
Post 35 was Brockton, and you played that was the only time we played other towns. So
Okay.
you would play the local towns and you could kind of see what the other high school kids were about outside of high school. But that was very prideful for us because it was kind of a way to measure yourself outside of your town. Like everyone knows who the
Yeah.
best kid on their team is or the best kid in the city, but it's going to the other cities. And yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
like in the Northeast, baseball's, it's not as talented, but it's very big because you don't get to play all year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember doing Legion, and I think out here in high school, the big thing was Connie Mack.
Okay.
Now not as much, but Connie Mack. So you play your high school season, and we used to have our summer ball for high school, but it was like kind of into American Legion. And then Connie Mack would happen, which was like, it was kind of like a travel team, but it was, you're on a team, and that's kind of how you get seen. So like
Yeah.
from my area, Ventura County, I'm driving out to the OC in Orange County, playing at Long Beach and playing teams from all over the place. And that's kind of where exposure happened. Um, Connie Mack was I mean, that was it, dude. Like you would literally, I remember my sophomore year, we won the championship, CIF championship at Dodger Stadium. And literally the
Oh,
next
that's
day,
cool.
yeah, it was awesome. And I was
That's
like a young
cool.
guy, and I had a moment where I hit a double off the wall as a sophomore, and it kind of like opened everything up for me, where it was like, oh, people were talking to me now. Like people want to ask me to play on their scout ball team or Connie Mack or whatever. So I remember we played in that game, and the next day I had a Connie Mack game at UCLA, and it was just like the guy, like there's guys on the team that were in a different division that played in the championship before us. And it's like now you're playing all these guys that you played against on your team, and you're playing a team from Riverside, whatever. But it's
Yeah.
it was interesting. Yeah.
Do you think, was that the moment, or was there a different moment that was like, did you kind of have an aha moment of what really stuck with baseball? Because like we all love baseball, but in certain instances, you can have those moments at different ages that say, this is what I'm going to do, or, oh, I am good at this age level. Did you have that kind of, that moment that transitioned you from high school to, oh, I'm going to go play college baseball? Or did you just always know that's what you were
Yeah.
going to be doing?
No, it's a great question. I, as a kid, always wanted to play baseball. My mindset was professional baseball. Well, I should backtrack. My mindset was like, I want to play big time baseball. So
Mhm.
what I knew about was like, I grew up a diehard Yankees fan. I'm watching the Yankees all the time. All I wanted to do was be like Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez and like all this stuff. And it was just all I wanted to do was play baseball. Like I didn't understand how it worked. What I did know about was college. So like growing,
Yeah.
well, who's the best team? And Stanford used to just be the best team back in the day. In the these early 2000s, they were always like the number one team. So I was like, that's where I want to go. I want to go to Stanford. I want to play baseball at Stanford. So like Stanford would come to town. We'd watch them play at SC. And I was like, these guys are incredible. And I just
Yeah.
loved Stanford. So I would wear like Stanford gear, Stanford jacket. Like it's all I wanted to do. Not understanding, like you got to kind of like hit the books and be smart to get to Stanford.
Stanford's a
Because I was not a school
very great
guy.
academic school.
Yeah. So I was like diehard Stanford through and through as far as a college, like baseball and then basketball. 98, 97, 98, 99, 2000, they were like the number one team in basketball. They had like Mark Madsen and the Collins twins. I was like, dude, Stanford's it, dude. I love Stanford. So I'd go to like USC games or UCLA games wearing Stanford gear. So I
Yeah,
always,
there you go.
yeah. So like I'd always want to, like, that was my dream, was like, I want to play college baseball. I want to play in the College World Series. So like as a kid, I knew I was always really good. And our teams were really good. And like you said, you travel out and you play teams from different areas. And it was never like a moment where I was like, oh my God, like I'm overwhelmed. I never really had that. When I got into high school as an eighth grader, I was playing on the high school summer team already. Like we knew somebody and they were like, come play. So like, I always was just trying to figure out what was happening. Like it was just, I wanted to play college ball. I wanted to go play high school and play on varsity. Like it was always just like the next step for me. Um, so I remember the moment, like I hit a home run in summer as an eighth grader on the varsity field. I remember just thinking like, whoa, like that was
Yeah.
different. And it was like I'm using a bigger bat. And I knew I was good, but I never knew, like, I don't know. I probably was small minded in my head of being like, if I went to a varsity field or college field, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. And
Yeah.
it's like not realizing it's like, you can do this. Like, you're out here. You're gonna get it done. It's fine. So I hit a homer and being like, holy, okay, I did it. I belong here.
Yeah.
As far as an aha moment, high school, I played freshman and then I got moved up to JV. I got moved up to JV later because they thought I was a basketball player. So I was in basketball as a freshman because I got to school and I was in a baseball class and they're like, you can't be here. You're an incoming freshman. You can do PE. I was like, I don't want to do PE. What do you mean PE? I was like, all right, then I'll go play basketball. So, and I played basketball all the way up till then. I was just willing to stop for baseball.
Yeah.
So then I played basketball and then it kind of started the journey of like, uh, okay, you don't need to be on freshman. You go to JV. After that, sophomore year in the summer, it was like I had a chance to play varsity. So
Mm.
when that happened, it started to kind of, the wheels were turning. It was just like I was just being quiet. There was like 10 seniors on the team. I was just like a kid who everyone knew growing up. Like I knew all of these guys, but I wasn't up to their level, at least in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I made the varsity team, and like I said, we won the championship. And I had moments during that season where I was doing things. It was just like I'm an integral part of this team, but I can't screw up because I make an error. These seniors are like, we're making a miracle run, and you're screwing it up for us. So to me, it was just blinders. But the aha moment, not a long story here, but like the aha moment was we got to Dodger Stadium in the championship and I drove in the first run of the game and it was the hardest ball I've ever hit. And I hit it off the wall in left center at Dodger Stadium as a sophomore. And after that, we won the championship, which was amazing. And then it was like people reaching out like, hey, we want you to play on our scout ball team, which is like your Sundays wood bat. I mean, all the scouts are there, college, wherever you're playing in the areas. So I started getting that. I started getting invited to like camps and like now I'm getting letters that are coming through from certain colleges. And it was just like literally that one moment changed everything because then it became, well, this guy's coming back as a junior, expect big things. Like, you know how all that stuff goes throughout high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in that time frame because everyone or anyone who's watching is expecting the sophomore to be nervous and to contribute and pay their part, but to maybe not show up in the big moments. Like you said, that's something that people are probably going to look at the senior to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no doubt.
the fact that you can kind of come through, I don't want to call them jitters, but like you see the younger players tend to get a little more nervous and not play their game because we are in those ways getting, you're worried about messing up rather than how do I accomplish this and get this done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a big moment, man. Like
It is
I like
cool.
to ask that to see what people's moments are when they knew. So you didn't play high school basketball at all?
I
Or
played as a freshman.
freshman?
So I played freshman basketball. The problem was is fresh basketball ran into baseball as far as the seasons. Our
Okay.
high school had a really good basketball program. I mean, powerhouse in the 90s, early 2000s. Like I lived across the street from my high school. So I love basketball. I love basketball. I knew I was the man in baseball. That's how I felt. Like I
Yeah.
was one of the better players. Basketball, I was good. I was just playing basketball. But I never traveled. I wasn't on a travel. I think I had one travel team I played on for basketball, but it was like local towns. It was like Simi
Yeah.
Valley. Vikings played the Ventura Breakers, and then we played Camarillo, and it was all within 30 minutes of each other. So that was travel basketball. But I wasn't playing like basketball. I had like ARC and AAU. Like I wasn't a part of that because I knew baseball. I was just like, listen, you can't touch me in baseball. In basketball, like I'm good, but I'm not. Basketball is not what I want to do, but I was good at it. So I played freshman year. The seasons ran into baseball. So like guys who played varsity basketball would miss the first week and a half, 2 weeks of baseball because the varsity team for basketball was always in the playoffs and they'd make a deep run.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like I was a part of that cheer section where I was just like, you know, the jumping up and down and shit. So like we would travel, dude. So like when they were going into the tournament, like they would go deep and it would be like, we're practicing, games are getting ready to start. And we'd have a guy who was like a pitcher or whatever. Like he's the, starting center for the team for basketball. Yeah. So I had to make a conscious decision. In the summer I was playing as a sophomore and there were seniors that were playing in my position. And I was like, listen, my goal is to be on varsity as a sophomore. For basketball, I'm going to be on JV at best. And I don't know if they have it out there with you for basketball, but they had freshman, frosh, soph, JV, and varsity. So they had 4 levels. Yeah, so I figured, that's what's different about California, dude. Like everything is just like, it just seems like there's extra stuff for no reason. So I remember I was going to be on frosh, soph, or potentially JV, right? And I was like, listen, I'm going to be on the varsity team for baseball. Like basketball ain't it. And the coaches for basketball were teachers. So every day I'd see them and they'd try and they'd hound me. How's that jumper? How's that jumper looking? How's that jumper looking? And I'd just be like, it's about 330 feet, bro. Like, like that's it.
That's
but
awesome.
It sucks because if the seasons weren't close together, I would have kept playing basketball. And I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to play in front of a crowd. I was pretty good. And I just didn't work at basketball like I did for baseball. Like it was just like you play basketball with your buddies, you go to the playground, you go to the park, you go to the gym. It wasn't like I had a trainer. It wasn't like I was, running 5s every single day at the park and rec or anything, like a lot of these guys are doing. So,
I got next.
I got line, homie. So, so I played basketball for 1 year and then that was it.
Wow. Yeah. See, I played middle school, but it was a hard truth that I wasn't good. But I was literally Happy Gilmore as a hockey player. I tried very hard. So I was the guy who was like 5 feet. I was the point guard. So I was good enough to be a starter because I tried way too hard and I would never shoot the ball. I was like, I would shoot the ball as much as Dennis Rodman. I would get the ball and just here. And I would play defense hard. I would sprint up and down the court and I'd be in the paint trying to get rebounds over the centers.
That's awesome.
Because I couldn't shoot the ball. I never knew where it was going.
That's funny.
It was cool because my cousin at the time was like the shooting guard. So I'm like, all right, here you go.
Yeah, just give it to him. Yeah, just give it to him, dude.
I'd run in, try to get the rebound, give it back to him.
Yeah.
Like nepotism, you know what I mean?
It's funny though, dude. That's so cool though, because I look back on like it's freshman. Like if I was coaching now and like I'm coaching a freshman team, I'd be like, listen, it's freshman ball, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like when I look back when I played freshman basketball, I was just like, I remember games, I remember moments. Like I played travel basketball, I didn't like it. And then I was like, I'm going to play regular rec ball for middle school. And it was like people didn't know me because I wasn't in the basketball scene because I was always playing baseball. But it was like, I'm really good. So when they'd get me and be like, we don't even know if Nick's played basketball. And I was like, yeah, I played basketball. Like I did this. And they were like, whoa. So then all of a sudden I became one of the better players in the league and I'm playing other guys that I see at school. But it was like, I was good. So, same thing. I was just like, I just wanted to shoot threes. And I wanted to like hit triple doubles. Like I was always like, I'm going to be Larry Bird. I'm going to go 10, 10, and 10 every game. And I always felt like if I didn't get it, it was because my own teammates were like, I want to shoot. And I'd be like, but you suck. So
you're holding me back, man.
You're holding me back from going 10, 10, and 10. And I found a book in a box that was like my freshman basketball stats. And I was sending it to buddies. And then I realized like they showed all the numbers of like how many shots were taken. And I was like, oh. And like I saw a game, I was like 4 for 26. And I remember being like, they never gave me the ball. I was like, I guess
Oh,
I was the
man.
one shooting too
Those
much.
are 4 big shots, though.
Yeah, it was like I hit my 4 shots. I had 12 and I had 10 rebounds. I was like, Jesus, I took 26 shots.
That's awesome, man. You were Jackie Moon.
Yeah, it was Jackie Moon, dude.
That is awesome. Yeah, I always loved playing basketball, just like the feel of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
me too.
There's just like a different vibe that you get from the different sports. So I played football. I remember when I was like 13 and 14. When I was 13, it's called midget league, and it's like 9 to 14, but there's A team, B team. A's the older kids, B team's the younger. So when I went in there, I was still B team at 13. And my buddies thought I was kidding around. They're like, you should come to football. And I'm like, all right. And I showed up. And literally the first day of tryouts, you had all the returning captains that were like 14. They were kind of running the show. And I just sat on the front line. So there's like 5 of them. And then they oversee the 75 kids trying out. And they are the big dogs. I didn't know. I went on and sat next to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
what are we doing?
hey, what's up? But the thing is they all knew my older brothers.
Okay.
So then one of them pulled me aside after. He's like, hey, this is where like the captains sit like that. So when we, we do our sprints and stuff, fall back in formation. So he was nice to let me know that and not really put me through the ringer. But I definitely switched it up after that. But I loved playing football because I wasn't smart enough to know.
Good at football. Yeah.
I was the safety. So I copied like Troy Polamalu was my favorite player.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That was how I conducted myself. I was like, well, not much here, so I'm just going to run through everything.
Just going to run through everybody, dude.
And I ran fast, so I won a lot of the battles.
Yeah, of course, dude. You're a speedster. I did football 1 year for middle school. I was 12, and I hated practices so much. And I just never wanted to do football practice. And I was going to do it again. The problem with youth football is it's not like you're throwing the ball all the time. So when they brought me over, a teammate of my baseball team, he was nasty. This dude was like middle linebacker, junior Seau, just take your head off, right? But like in baseball, he was like stocky catcher and just crush balls. But like football was this guy's thing. So he was like, come play football, come play football. And they were like, you could be our tight end. And I was like, awesome. And then I realized they don't throw when you're 11 and 12. They just hand the ball off to somebody and they run. And our running back was a guy that ended up going to Florida State later on as a running back and a safety. So it was like, I ain't touching the ball. So now I don't know about football. And now I'm an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And I'm a defensive lineman and I'm new to football. So I'm on that 12 play unit where it's like, you get 12 plays and now it's like you're starting, but then I don't know what I'm doing. So like, it's funny. I remember certain moments. I remember missing a block in a playoff game and the guy that was a big running back looking over and being like, what are you doing? And I just remember being like, and for me, it was like, I was so good at baseball. I was like, I've never been talked to in a way of like, I was the just guy who was screwing it up for everybody. And I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. They put me here.
I got lucky too. Because I have baseball memory.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what happened 5 minutes ago in so many ways. So when it came to memorizing the playbook, just like you, I'm a baseball player. So I kind of remembered, kind of didn't. But we had 3 running backs because at 10 to 14, no one's passing the ball, really.
It's passing.
My cousin...
just watch a guy juke through the entire field and be like, this guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
Yeah. What are you doing? That's Booby Miles. What am I even here for?
Dude,
you know?
Yeah.
So my cousin that was the shooting guard for the middle league team, he was also the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I was the running back, and they always, like, the ball would get ready to go to me because I was fast. But he had to literally tell me, he's like, yo, hand off right side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Toss sweep left.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know anything about a playbook.
So he would test me, though. He would call certain plays, and we would start walking to the line. I'm like, oh, you're funny. You're not going to tell me what I'm doing?
Yeah.
He's like, dang, you don't even remember? I'm like,
that's so funny.
You gonna give me the ball or not?
I don't even know if I looked at a playbook when I got it. I don't even, like the big thing I would always get yelled at was just like, stop standing up.
Yeah.
You're standing up, stay down. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, we had
Like-
in the tough part too, because like where I'm from, so there was 4 teams. Brockton is a very small city. It's like a 5-mile radius, but there's like 110,000 people, so everyone's crammed in. Brockton High School has like 5,500 kids. It's one of the biggest schools this side of the Mississippi. So our town football was crazy. We had this coach, Mike Williams. He played all through Brockton sports. He played at Boston College. He was just a legit coach, a legit guy. He worked, he's like a lawyer and a judge. So he like worked within the systems, but he was hard-nosed coach. So you were also scared to mess up.
Yeah.
Too, because the
Yeah,
bar was set. Dude, the
football, I was
culture.
terrified.
Yeah, he's set across this culture, like, so other kids from other sides would come try out for us. He's like, bring it back to West. You know what I mean? Because people couldn't handle the running, but he would break people, and we were always so good for that reason. So when my cousin, I'm like, do you have to tell me the play? You know what I mean?
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I don't want to get yelled at, dude. I was
scary.
terrified of football coaches. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, if it's not your primary sport, you're like,
Yeah.
There's a certain, when you play sports, there's a certain fallback comfort that you have. Like baseball, no matter what, I'm going to, like, if I drop a ball, you're like, so what? I'm going to make a diving catch in an inning.
Yeah, it's funny because my dad was like hard nosed. Like, you know, pregame, you take the infield and outfield. We make it like if a guy boots a ball, he's like, everybody get the hell off the field. Like, you know, like it was that. But it was like we all loved him, right? So it's like for me, I was just like, hey, I just pride myself in not making an error during the pregame. Like I'm going to make every play. So like if a kid made an error, usually it's because like a kid spaced it out. So, you know, and it's effort. So like I had that in baseball, but when I got it from someone else, like in a different sport, I remember just being like, I don't know what's happening right now. I'm a little scared of you, dude.
I'm that guy. It made me stop wanting to play football too. So I didn't play my senior year because I was like doing the traveling for schools for college, but we won a state championship my junior year, and we were pretty good. But I remember my freshman year they wanted me to try out for running back, and I'm like, playbook's bigger, man. So I didn't really play offense. I would occasionally line up as a wide receiver to like sprint down the field in a jet pass.
Yeah.
Just like run to the end zone type of thing.
Just run and never get it.
Yeah, but I mainly played safety because in freshman football, they weren't passing all that much. We had unbelievable cornerbacks, but I would just come up and light people up and just get flags. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fun, dude.
What do you mean he has to catch the ball? My job is to make sure he doesn't catch the ball. You can't hit him before he touches it.
Yeah, dude. But it sounds like you guys had a good team, bro. Our high school team was terrible.
Yeah.
0-10, 0-12, 1-10, like not good. With good players, it's just we weren't like they were going to different schools if you were a football guy. And public schools around those times were kind of recruiting. There wasn't really private in the area. So like Westlake High School had just dogs and they were from everywhere. So like if you were a good player in our town, you just drive 15 minutes the other way and go to Westlake or something.
So that makes sense.
So we suck, dude. So the varsity coach was always like, come out, dude, come catch some balls, come play some tight end. I'm like, listen, coach, I said, you guys win 6 or 7 games, I will come out and I'll catch some passes. I can't come out and risk injury to go 0-10.
Exactly.
I'm not into football. And you want me to be a tight end? I'm not going. And I was like, I'm not going across the middle against a guy who's going to SC from Westlake that's going to take out my knees, and now my career's over for baseball. I was like, I'm good, dude. I'm good.
That's how we were in the football area. Like we were that school. So like in the 90s, I'm not sure when they stopped it, but in the 90s, Brockton High used to go to like play Miami. Like our high school team would fly out of state to go play legit teams because they were a powerhouse. And it was the same way when I got there. Like even our freshman football team, we had this coach Caruso, Coach Grimes, like they were all legit and had played football and had just constantly gave back to the community. So, and then our varsity team was run by the Columbos, who are related. They're like the family of Rocky Marciano.
Yeah.
So it's always been like that Brockton pride. Like you got a Rocky Marciano statue over there.
It's a big boxing town, right?
It's
Isn't Marvin Hagler from
so
Brockton,
the
right?
boxers out here are are hard nosed. I got a buddy,
Yeah.
Kevin Walsh, he's professional, and I think in the next couple days, it might even be tonight, he's fighting, and he's like 18-0 as a professional. So, and
Boxing's another level, dude.
he's
Yeah, I
just
know.
that
Yeah.
guy that, yeah, he's like my size, but he walks around, he's like, "Hey, you got a problem?"
Yeah. What'd you
Because
say to
it's,
me? Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
I
that
remember when we
mass.
played up there. I remember when we
Yeah,
played up there when we were with the Jackals and we played up in Brockton and you were like letting us know. You were just like, this town is
you gotta
you don't mess
be.
around out here.
Yeah, they're kind of like, "Hey, what you looking at?" And you're like,
Yeah, what do
"Nothing,
you
dude. Calm down. Like we're at the grocery store, bro."
nothing here. Take everything.
Yeah. Here you go. I live here, but take it all. I don't
Yeah,
want
take it all.
any
I don't care.
problems.
Take my car. Live in my house.
It's a little bit of a different mentality. You don't know until you
Sure.
leave that people are actually more laid back, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to not be stressed all the time.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
You know, it's like where did you play college ball? Like, so
I
obviously,
didn't
so I forgot you're that good. You're like, it's either
No.
Stanford or I'm just gonna get drafted.
Yeah, no. So like, yeah, no. So I was drafted out of high school, but I will like the story of it is I was not a school guy. I
Hmm.
didn't I didn't perfect school. I should have everybody, hey, but it wasn't in the cards for me. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I just wanted to get to baseball. So I realized very early on Stanford wasn't it. So then I didn't even think it right. I was just like, I'm getting letters. Junior year, sophomore year, my senior year, I'm getting these letters, right? Like I think a lot of guys do. You get on the scene, whether it's at least here, Scout Ball, Connie Mack. You're going to showcases. We had this really cool thing out here that was called Baseball Resource. It's by this guy named Matt Slavin. And it was just a guy out in Orange County, and he would put together these baseball showcases, and it would be an Orange County team, a Riverside team, an LA team, and like that. And we had guys in there that tons of guys played in the big leagues, and they were
Yeah.
all, and they'd be in, hey, it's a weekend showcase. You're going to play all these teams. You're going to have a batting practice before. You're going to go through pre-games. You're going to throw bullpens, and you're all going to play.
Yeah.
And there were dead periods, right? So it's like during certain times, like colleges can't come out, they can't talk to you. Back then, it wasn't like it is now, where it's just like there's so many conversations going on.
Yeah.
You could put your profile on social media, build a brand. There's just so much going on. Back then, it was like you're not going to hear it because it's a dead period. So this guy ran these things all the time. So I was able to be a part of them.
That's awesome.
And you connect, yeah, and you're playing against guys who like that guy's gonna be a first round pick, right? So you're trying to measure yourself, and you're hitting with wood. So like when I thought I was pretty good, you'd get out there and I'd see guys that made the big leagues, and Freddie Freeman and Hank Conger and these guys that were like first round picks that played for a long time. The sound off the bat was something that I had not gone through and I hadn't seen. So you'd see this and go, holy cow. And you realize, oh, I need to step it up. But these guys were on another level from whatever it is. Not saying I didn't have a lengthy career, but at the time it was just like I was being introduced to things as I saw it.
Yeah.
I wasn't working out. I didn't have a trainer. I wasn't hitting with wood at 10 and 11 years old. I wasn't out there doing showcases. I wasn't traveling. It was just like, oh, the Baseball Resource Showcase. This is awesome. Let's go play. Some tournaments I'd do good, some I wouldn't. And then it just became letters. You get letters from local areas. And out here, the Cal State schools, they were, Cal State, Fullerton, Long Beach State. They were it. They were in the World Series all the time. So I got told you don't need to be a 4.0, let alone a 3.0 to get into Cal State Fullerton. So it was like, all right, let's do it. So that was kind of my journey of like, okay, Stanford's out. Let's just keep putting up numbers and try and get a scholarship. My senior year happened. I had talked to a couple schools, but it just wasn't enough. Like they weren't offering me enough. I had an offer from a team in North Carolina in Greensboro, but it was just like junior college baseball out here was massive. So the idea was if it doesn't happen, we'll go to a junior college and then we'll transfer over. LMU was the one school that if I had good grades, I would have went to. They really wanted me to go there. I needed to get through to the system. My transcripts just weren't good enough and the school wouldn't accept me. So how the draft process happened for me was I wanted to go to LMU. That wasn't working out. My senior year, I had a monster senior year, and we had some great teams in our conference. There was a team in our league that was a number one team at the time in the country, and they had dudes. And I had a big game against them. I pitched 6 2/3. I hit a game-winning homer like in the top of the 7th or bottom of the 6th.
Damn.
First loss. And Fox Sports West used to be out at all the high school games. Like they do coverages of local teams. So they did a full spot on this team. And I remember being like, it's mentally I'm locked in right now. So every scout was there because of the guys they had, and I turned it up, and they knew about me, but everybody was trying to use me as like a sleeper later pick. We can get Nick later in the rounds. He's a great project. Like it could happen. So this game happened. It put me on the map again to a point of like, this guy's unbelievable. And I was having an unbelievable year. So then it became the draft is very, 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 very real. And then it was, okay, like you just talked about, some type of leverage. Can I find a school that could give me leverage to make more money? Because I know what's happening right now. The Mets had a workout. I went to it. I was going to go to a junior college in Orange County, Cypress. They were a top junior college. They get guys like Evan Longoria was in junior college. I don't know if he went to Cypress, but like Evan Longoria went from junior college, went to Long Beach State, turned into the guy he was, right? So very real opportunity here to go to a junior college. So I wasn't just going to go to a Division I somewhere just because. So I made the decision to go out of the area to Cypress, and then I was going to have a year, and the goal was transfer over to LMU. Then I saw the scout for the Mets, and I said, what's the options? What do we have? He said, well, the workout's on Saturday. Right now we're looking at a draft and follow for you. So I don't know if you remember the draft and follow process. They don't do it now, but it was, we draft you, we own your rights for a year. We can sign you at any point up to that time till next year's draft while you play junior college. And usually junior college thing, because I don't think you could do it at a university because of the sanctions.
Yeah, once you get in there, it's either junior year or 21 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why so many people went to junior colleges. So originally I was going to go to Barry University out of high school.
You were a junior. That's right. You were a junior college guy.
I was going to go to Barry University. Same thing. Didn't have the grades. Coach Pavo's unbelievable. He's from Massachusetts, so he has a great relationship with Miami-Dade. Got me to go there. He's like, the goal is to get the grades up. And then you'll transfer potentially after your freshman year. I ended up staying at Miami-Dade my second year. And then the schools that came in was like, do I go to a UM? Do I go to an LSU or Texas or USC? What school do I go to? And I always remembered what had got me down there. In certain ways, I knew that I wanted to play. I wanted to get drafted. I wanted to play at the next level. But I signed with Barry University, which is Division II in Miami. Very good.
Yeah,
but
I've heard of them.
For me, it was more, I'm going to keep my word because this is the guy who picked me.
Yeah.
Then found out I couldn't go there and still helped me out.
Right.
He could have just said, yeah, you're not coming here anyways. I got to move on and find another center fielder. But he didn't. He kind of stuck with me.
That's huge. That's huge. There's a lot of trust in that.
I still talk to him today.
That's awesome. There's a lot of trust in that.
And he was actually never officially my coach. But when I did an official visit in November of 2005, when I was a senior, why I didn't play football, I went to Miami, fell in love with the school, the players, the coaches, the atmosphere. And I was like, dude, I'm going to Miami to play.
Yeah.
And
it's good to move around, dude, because, people that stay in their areas, it's hard to grow, and hard to really understand what it is to be like yourself, be a player, live on your own, understand what you like, what you don't like. I was nervous going out because like I didn't drink, I didn't do anything, I was pretty straight. So I was nervous, like, I'm going to be in an apartment with a bunch of dudes, like it's junior college, guys gonna be drinking. I don't drink. I was just like, nerves are hitting. And, but I didn't end up going there, obviously, but it happened because of within, dude, like a 48-hour span. It was like, I went to Cyprus to go work out for the coach there.
Wow.
And he knew I was going to he knew I was going to show up like, hey, I want you to come to Cyprus. And I said, well, let me hit in the cage for you. The scout that ended up drafting me happened to be there. Like I said, he said, we're going to make you a draft and follow. It was the first time he finally told us we're looking at 16 to 20 at the rounds. And I remember being like, I'm not doing that. then I'll come here, because the opportunity was massive to go, like, go to JC and you can get drafted, or shit, dude, you go to a JC, you have monster numbers. All of a sudden it's Long Beach State, it's Cal State Fullerton, it's UCLA, it's US. Like all of a sudden Fullerton was going to the World Series every 2-3 years at that time. So it was like, I mean, there's big dogs out there. So I was like, should I come to the workout? He said, yeah, come to the workout. So I went to the workout and I did amazing. Like I hit better than I ever did. Like the scouting director liked what I did. And we were hitting at a college that was just gigantic. We were hitting at Cerritos College, which is like 350 down the line. So I was like, I ain't hitting any homers. So
yeah.
So I was like, hit balls hard. And like one of the things that got the impression to the scouting director was the fact that I wasn't trying to leave the yard and spin off. I was just hitting hard line drives and the makeup was there. So it changed and it bumped me up. And it was like back end of the top 10 became a realistic possibility now, rounds 5 to 10. And it changed everything. So then I knew I don't want to go to school. I want to sign. It all depends on when I get drafted. I ended up in the 12th round, and I was at that time, I don't know how you watched it. Online was the only way to do it back then, unless you got a phone call from a scout, which I had 2 teams. It was the Mets and the Twins. The Twins didn't have money. The Mets had money. Both scouts I have known since I was a freshman and sophomore. The Twins guy was a guy that would like be somebody that was like your buddy. Yeah. He would help me getting onto certain teams. I'd see him everywhere, and he was like hopeful that I would slide to his pick. So and then he wouldn't have to spend money.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Mets guy was like, "Oh, you're going to sign, right?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Like there was a little bit more negotiation within. I thought you want to play pro ball, and it's like, I do, but I also can go to Cyprus and have a great time at a junior college. So we have options now. So the 12th round hit and the Mets pick happened, and I had to watch it online. So it's like the pick just said next pick, and it just boom. Yeah. My name popped up. And I looked at my dad and I had something in my hand. And I remember being like, if I don't go right now, then we're going to junior college. And then the name popped up. And it was literally, dude, like I'm sitting and I'm pacing at this point. Like I didn't go to school because I was just really nervous. The first day it didn't happen. I was hopeful like round 5 and it didn't happen. So now it's like we're starting in the 6th round. I'm like, all right, today's got to be the day. And as it kept moving and moving, I was just like, gosh, like
I don't think most people won't understand that feeling of just sitting there looking at all the names on the board. So mine's similar. It's not as big, obviously, but just like yours, it's kind of like the Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You hear and you think and you do it, and then round after round after round go by. And it was the same thing with me. So for me, it was mainly talking to the Cardinals, and it was supposed to be the 5th round. So it was like day 1 type of thing. And I didn't go in the 5th round. So then I got a call at 10 p.m. that night from the scout. He's like, hey, we're picking you the 1st round tomorrow. It'll be round 6. Are you going to sign? Because we don't want to waste that pick. I'm like, I am 100% signing.
Yeah.
You pick me, call me, we'll deal with it. He called me at 11 p.m. And he's like, dude, I got to know, man. I got to know that this is my pick on the board that you're going to sign. I was like, I'm signing. I am going to sign. So then the 6th round happens. They pick someone else. The 7th, the 8th, the 15th, the 20th. So I got picked up in the 22nd round, and literally I'm hanging out with my buddy. He's playing Grand Theft Auto. We're not even looking at the computer. It's just kind of happening.
Who cares anymore? Yeah.
Dude, we went outside. So the second I was drafted, I was literally on his back deck in Miami giving him a haircut. And he's looking at the screen like this, and I'm like lining him up and stuff like that. He's like, oh, you just got picked by the Nationals. So I'm like, get out of here, bro. So I look at the screen and it says Miami-Dade, Chris Curran, 2nd base. And I'm like, did they pick the wrong person? Because I don't play 2nd base.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that my scout, Tony Arango, had asked me for 1 second. He's like, have you ever played second base? And this was months before during college baseball. I was like, yeah, when I was like 10.
He's like,
And
all right, cool.
the whole comparison in that 2006, 7, and 8 round was he's short, he's from Boston, Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah. Oh,
him.
yeah. Yeah, go get him.
MVP,
100%.
5 foot nothing, 100 pounds and nothing. And
it's so interesting, man. It's so interesting because, like, it happens to guys like yourself all the time, or at least it used to. It was like, this guy's super fast. He's smaller. He can swing it from the left side. He runs a 6'5", whatever, right? Everything's about the 60 for guys that are fast and hit from the opposite side. So they think we could bunt the ball, hit it on the ground, and he's just going to run. So now he's not valuable to us until the 20th round. We could get a steal. We'll steal this guy in the 22nd. And then you have a good year and they're like 5th round, 6th round, but it's like in their head, they're thinking, no, we could get this guy in the 20th. We can get him in the 25th. And let's go get this. Then you start seeing names that you recognize who aren't to your caliber, or at least haven't had the numbers, and they're going before you. And you're just kind of thinking, I'm so confused. And then some of the guys that are going, they're not going to sign. So you're like, what's happening right now? I don't understand, because this is the conversation. Like, I've told you I'm going to sign. You understand the negotiation process. You have job security because you don't want to ruin a pick on a guy who wants more money and now he doesn't want to sign. But junior college guys, unless you're going, like you said, to LSU, Texas, somewhere like that, tend to be ready to rock the moment they get that phone call. So it's like, pay me enough money that I don't feel like I'm going to have to work at 7-Eleven when I get home, and I'll be ready to play.
I'm not pulling the night shift. You know what I mean? No, it's 100% true. And it's crazy how it works. You find out that it's a business a little bit after that, and like you said too, junior college at that time, at least, was the way to go. So when I had gone to Miami-Dade my freshman year, 5 people were drafted. My sophomore year, 9 of us were drafted. So it was crazy to see 14 people in 2 years be drafted. But as you're going down that draft board and you're playing against some of these people. So it was a really good conference. I mean, probably that year, if I had to guess how many people were drafted from our 6 to 18 conference, you're probably talking at least 20, 25 people. Because you would have people transfer from UM to Miami-Dade. Get that year and then go to Florida State or something like that, because they're like, no, I just pitched great, had 8 wins, didn't like where I was drafted. I'm going to go to JUCO so I can get drafted again, because you have your high school year, you can get drafted, but freshman, sophomore, junior, you can't until your junior year. So we had a lot of transfers. So my freshman year of college, I was the only person at tryouts that this includes all the people on scholarship and the people who walked in off the street that wasn't drafted.
Wow.
So when I was looking around, like, they were cutting, 14th rounders to the Red Sox and like in the first rounds. And I'm like, oh man, like,
I mean, that's how JC ball was. But that's what it was then. That's literally what it was. That's why when I went out to work out for the guy, it was like, I don't know if he wants me. Like, I know he wants me because of my numbers and my, like, but he's never seen me. So I remember going there being like, I gotta be ready to go. I remember we hit in the cage. He saw me swing like 3 or 4 balls, and then he just left. And I was like, shit. I remember thinking, all right, I guess I gotta find a new junior college, dude. This guy left after watching 3 swings, and I rolled them all over. I was just like, this ain't it. And then when I went there, he's like, no, we want you. You'll hit 3rd or 4th, like, right in the lineup behind this guy. And I remember being like, wow, like, they value because the same thing, dude. Like, these guys were all going to this place. Like, they were going to the World Series, JUCO World Series, but JUCO ball was top notch, dude. I mean,
it was,
especially for what year. I mean, Miami-Dade, and Chipola and those guys in Florida, those are factories, dude. Those are JUCO factories.
Those guys were serious. Yeah, we had like 50 games a year. Was it 50 or 60? I forget what it was, but if it was 50, we would go like 44-6.
Jeez.
And you're like, so for 2 years, I think it was 2 years, I played against Brad Peacock, who threw 100 for Palm Beach, played with the Nationals with me, played for the Astros, won World Series when he
Yep.
was there. And it's like, that was a guy you're playing JUCO against those guys and Matt Latos and just a bunch of those kinds of
Just
guys that,
dudes.
yeah, just people that are throwing 100 on the regular. And I'm coming
Yeah.
out of Massachusetts where it's like, that guy throws good, man. He's like 82.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at this guy, dude. He gets man, he rolled the guy over.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a couple good players out here. There was this kid, Alex Hassan. He drafted by the Red Sox through like 92 to 95, but he was the guy
Yeah, he was it.
out here. And then you get out there and it's like, they cut people throwing 90. Like you had to throw 90 just to even go to tryouts, or you just wasted people's time.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude, because when I was going or being recruited by this junior college, Brandon Laird was there at Cypress, and he was a dude.
Yeah.
And he went to junior college, and he would just threw up numbers his first year, and he was going to go back his second year. And that's what he said. He says, you'll hit behind Laird. And later on, after I got drafted by the Mets, Laird was a Yankee. And we played against each other. I never met him. Like, I never really knew him, right? It was just more of like, oh, hey, you played at Cypress. You know, I almost went there. Like, who cares, right? So it's like
baseball talk.
Baseball talk. This dude in the Sally League was just a monster. Like 28 homers every time we faced him. It was like dead center off the batter's eye, 2 homers a game. And I'm like, and in this league, it was like the Braves had Freddie Freeman and Jason Hayward. And they just had dudes all over. So like, and this guy was like, I knew he was a dude, but everybody kind of looked at other players. Stanton, Mike Stanton at the time, before he was Giancarlo. I remember when I got there, he had like 20 homers at the break. And I was like, who is this guy? And it was like from my area, Notre Dame, drafted the year after me. And I remember being like, so who's Mike Stanton? And then I saw him, and my dad was like, oh, yeah. He's ridiculous. He's a dude.
He's different kind of beast right there.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, I just remember being, I look back, I try not to look back, but I look back in the sense of like, I got drafted in a draft that was so strong. 06 was a crazy draft with so many guys that made it to the big leagues. And then 07 didn't have as much power, apparently, as people would say later on. And I think about, I could have been at JUCO, hit behind this guy who ended up in the big leagues, who was hitting homers in Japan. And like, you fast forward and you think, would it have worked out? Would I have got more money? Would I have gotten drafted higher? Different team? What would have looked at? Would it have been a complete mistake? And it's like, you go through these things as your career goes on. And you see some of the guys that you crossed that did those things, and you're like, would it have been me? Like, I don't know. But then I look at my career and the success I had, and I go, I'm glad I didn't, because like I had to learn on the fly as a high schooler. It was definitely a different world walking in 18 years old to a pro life, and then having to figure out what it even means. So I didn't really figure it out till we started playing together, and then you're in independent ball. And you start figuring it out.
What was that transition like from, say, affiliate? You played for Sussex first, right?
Yeah,
that was your first indie ball team.
My experience going into indie ball was horrible. I hated it, and it was
welcome to semi-pro, bro.
Yeah, welcome to semi-pro, baby. But not in the sense because of what most people think, right? Which is like, oh, how long are you going to play for? Oh, are you going to start working? Oh, have you gone back to school? Like, you know, you get those questions when you're back home, and it's like, you can't help but take it as disrespect, and you think I'm a bum. And it's like, I don't want to have the conversation. I don't care to have the conversation. Get out of my face, because you don't get it. And you're just an angry person. So when I got released by the Mets, which was like last day of spring training, it was like, all right, what do we do now? Start calling people you know. You know, I met some people that are now with the Marlins, Cardinals. Hey, do you have a roster spot? But it's like, you don't know the business. You're trying to, you kind of know, but you don't. And then I have coaches going, don't go the independent ball route. And I look back on that being like, man, what terrible advice. Knowing how long I played in independent ball and the opportunities I got, and what I became not only now as a player, but now as a coach, and the knowledge of what I have for the game itself. It's like, wow, what a terrible, terrible take to give somebody who's at their lowest point. How I got into independent ball was no different from anything else. You're trying to figure out your next steps. You're emailing teams. You don't know where to go. So you're trying to figure out Well, where is it? Okay, let me research what independent ball is. Okay, there's the Golden League. They were like the Atlantic League, with like
Yeah.
big leagues of independent ball. You get the
Hmm.
Can-Am, I didn't really know much about. And then you had the Frontier League and the American Association. So it's like I'm trying to look, okay, hey, looks like the Frontier League might be it. So I made the drive home 4 days in my car, just being like, flat tire in the middle of a nowhere podunk town in Texas. Woke up in a Motel 6, tire was flat. Had to get it fixed, town of 8,000. I'm like, this is just, what is going on in my life? Uh, I literally get home and I got a phone call from a manager that was like, "We're interested in you. I saw your name come across." So initially you're peacock in your chest going, "I'm not playing indie ball. Get out of here." And then you realize this guy's giving me an opportunity. So this is what it's going to take. Cool. What is indie ball? What's the Frontier League? What does that mean? When do I go? Oh, you're going to pay me? We're going to give you, I think it's $1,100. Like, oh, that's more money than I was getting when I was in affiliated ball. My
Yeah.
signing bonus, obviously, you get your signing bonus, but like now you're going to give me more money, and I'm okay. Yeah, let's do it. And then it was the Kalamazoo Kings. I Heart Yankee guy, Eric Jeter's
Yeah.
from Kalamazoo. This is how it's supposed to happen. So I was like, let's go, dude. So I had more experience than most of the guys there. There was a guy from the Mets that happened to be there that was on the team, and I was like, sick. Um, I was with somebody that lived in Long Island, so I would go out to Long Island like for stints and be out in Long Island. The guy that I played with the Mets was in Long Island, and he played at a
Mm.
Delphi college locally. So when I would go out there, I went out there and said, "Let's work out." So he kind of gave me knowledge of how indie ball works, and I would work out with him. And we got over to spring training. It was freezing, which I hadn't experienced. The field was horrible. The setup was just like uh coaches were walking in and they were like players. Like, no disrespect to them, you know how it is with managers and stuff, right? But like I hadn't really had a manager. I played in Brooklyn and Savannah. Like I had managers that were experienced, older, brothers of big leaguers, guys who played in the big leagues with the Mets. Like the Mets had a lot of experienced coaches, right? And no disrespect to what I'm about to say, but it's like this was my first experience of indie ball. The coaches walking in like hungover and being like, "Oh, what a night." And I'm in here looking around and I'm looking in like this high school locker room. The coach is coming in hungover. The field sucks. It's 40 degrees outside. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm trying to get out of here, right? Every indie guy's like, I'm out of here in a month. But I'm literally like, okay, I got to turn it up. I couldn't have played any worse. I couldn't feel the ball to save my life. I hit well and I got released. And a week before, he was like, "You're our guy. You're going to hit third. You'll start at third. We don't have a guy like you with this much experience. We're going to give you X amount of dollars," which to me was like amazing. "You're going to stay at this place in this host family. They lived on the lake." I was like, dude, they're giving me the setup. And I couldn't field to save my life. I was just not prepared. Um, and I didn't have a job. So I got released and I remember being like, I can't believe this even happened. I know I'm an amazing fielder. That's what I was good at with the Mets. And now I don't have a job. So I was in Long Island for about a month and it turned into figuring this thing out. And I was emailing, calling, calling. The guy from the Washington Wild Things had called me the day after I had signed with Kalamazoo. I said, "Listen, they were the first call. Like you said, loyalty. This guy, first call, I'm going to go with him." Now I'm calling him back going, "Do you have a roster spot?" And he's like, "If you would have called me, you would have been on this team, but I got to give these guys a shot. Spring training just ended." So I drove 6 hours from Long Island to Washington, Pennsylvania to work out, and it rained the day before, and the field was flooded. So I had to hit in the cage. And I hit in the cage, and this guy was the manager of the Gulf Coast Marlins, or one of the coaches in the Gulf with the Marlins that I had been across while I was playing. And now he's the manager of this team. And he's like, "I don't have a spot for you." If you would have called me and told me you wanted to sign here 3 weeks ago, you'd be on the team.
Uh,
So I was like, cool. I'm glad I drove 6 hours. So my indie ball journey is very interesting, man, because I know it's kind of a long story, but like I waited about a month. I did workouts. I worked out for the Long Island Ducks. I worked out for Somerset Patriots. And then I got a call from Sussex, and it was Ed Ott. And Ed Ott at the time was managing the Sussex Skyhawks. And I was just trying to figure out my space because I knew I was good enough to play somewhere. And Ed called me and was like, "Our third baseman went down. Can you be here by the weekend? Do you have a passport?" And I said, "No, I don't have a passport." And it was Friday morning. So the only place to get a passport was to go to some janky place in the middle of Manhattan and take a train and a subway and get a passport and go to the post office. And I remember going to this freaking, I don't know, money laundering scheme of a place. And it was like, that's what it felt like, right? Because you're like, you know how New York City is, bro. You're like, go
Yeah.
up to the 4th floor down on 18th Street. You're going to get off J and you're going to head down. You're going to go up. You're going to see Michelle. She's going to, stamp you. Then you got to go down 10 blocks to the post office. If you don't get it in by 5, it won't go in till Monday. Monday, they're going to Quebec. So it's like my career depends on getting this passport. So I was just like, am I even in the right spot? So I got it. I ran down to the post office. They marked it. I ran back to the place. They took my picture with like 10 minutes left before closing. And
My God.
my passport was like one of those overnight passports. It was like $500. And I got it.
Oh,
So
man.
it was done. I called Ed and I said, I got my passport. And he's like, great. We'll see you tomorrow. So then I drove from Long Island to Sussex. I showed up, didn't know what was going on. He's like, this is where you're going to live. You're in the lineup tonight. You're batting 5th. And I hadn't seen a live pitch in a month. And it was like, get thrown into the fire. Here we go.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And it was tough because I had 2 guys I knew from the Mets that were there. One of them I knew who was got up to AA, AAA, and he was one of those dudes that would always like take care of me, was cool to me. He understood what I was about. So he did other things I did not. He raked. This guy was an unbelievable hitter. So it was cool to see him there. But I had some experiences of like guys overstepping their boundaries of like, they thought I was like a rookie. And I remember being like, I have 4 years of pro experience. You have 0 affiliated experience. I understand you're 26 or 7 years old and you went to college. I am not a part of, we're going to go out and get this guy drunk because he's a straight arrow and he takes us too serious. So like I had a lot of those experience and I just rolled through it. This guy wants to sleep in my bed, get drunk and drink with me because he's like, you have to do this. This is, I'm going to break you in. And I just remember being like, I can't be any more miserable than I am right now. I'm in a host family. The guy that I'm rooming with doesn't work out. So I wasn't working out and I just played. And it was like, I remember going to Worcester and I would only wear sandals. I was a California guy. And it was like, no, you're going out. You never go out. We're breaking you in. You're coming out. And I remember going out to some club in sandals and flip-flops. So it was like, my experience was like, this is terrible. I hate this. But I know I want to continue on. It's just, I don't like the people that are trying to usher me into independent baseball.
Yeah, those are bad examples of like, that's not how you're supposed to conduct business. And unfortunately, too, many people who don't play affiliate or have that level of experience just don't even understand the professionalism that comes here. It's like you're trying to haze in this weird, you're not even good at hazing.
Terrible. And I'm
Like, you're not
watching
even
you
good
pitch.
at that.
And I'm
Yeah.
watching you pitch and you're just this angry guy. And I get it now. But when I'm 21 years old and my last part of being with the Mets was I was on fire. I was in low A and I hit almost 400 in the month and had a bunch of 20 multi-game hit. Like I know these numbers because I knew what I was walking to spring training to be like, I get to talk about this. It's clicking. It's clicking. I'm hitting home runs. I know it was a late call up. I'm there and I'm on fire. And I'm getting hitting coaches saying, don't change a thing in the off season. Just keep doing what you're doing. And then I get released on the last day. And now it's like, well, now what? So I'm thinking I'm not done because some guy who went to a local D2 or whatever wants to be the head of the fraternity. And he's never experienced what I've experienced. And I'm not trying to take away anything from that guy, those guys are valuable in their own right to a certain extent. But the stuff of like, I'm in your hotel room, you're coming out, you're doing this, I wasn't a
Yeah.
fan of that. I was going to show up how I needed to show up either way. Now, later on, I understood I was taking this too serious and I had to step back and care less. But I needed it to be from a real professional, not some guy who thinks getting drunk in the hotel room and in the club is going to make me break out, which I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I've done it. I've had those moments and it's worked, but it was over time. It wasn't like if I know Chris doesn't like to do that, I'm not taking Chris out and saying you're drinking this.
Yeah.
So,
So calm
it
down,
was,
Van Wilder. All
yeah,
right.
right. Yeah, right. I mean, this isn't eastbound and down. You know what I mean? Like, as
Kenny
much as we
Powers
want it
over
to be,
here.
I have to perform, and I'm not at the level that I need to be performing at to get a look. But everything
Yeah.
changed when the team folded and the Jackals claimed me off of waivers. When I got to the Jackals, everything switched. Everything. It was a professional organization. They had the most signings out of any independent team across all of baseball for independent leagues. The manager was very cutthroat in the sense of, this is what I'm asking you to do, show up on time and play. He thought I was a great defender, and that's why he brought me over.
Now,
I
was
met
Joe
people-
Calfapietro still, was he your first guy there? Because
Yeah,
what
in New
year did
Jersey.
you what year did you sign in with New Jersey? Do you remember?
Yeah, 2011. So 2010, I was with Ed, and I loved Ed, by the way, as a manager. Ed was amazing. Ed got the Sussex job because the owners of New Jersey Jackals took ownership of the Skyhawks in Sussex, and they didn't have a manager. Ed was an assistant coach with Joe for years, and they didn't have a manager, so they kind of baited Ed into saying, please go be the manager with the Sussex Skyhawks.
Makes sense, because when I got there halfway, like it was like halfway through 2012 or something like that, the chemistry between Joe and Ed was there.
Yeah.
So, but when you just said Ed was the manager of the other team, I'm like, that's why I kind of had to ask him, like, when did you go to the Jackals? Because they're like, I know
Yeah.
baseball will bring people together, but they kind of just seemed like they were on the same page for a
Yeah.
long time.
Absolutely. And they had their, they had tons of success through when they were in different leagues and they were together coaching. So Ed went over as a favor to the ownership group. And eventually I found out that's how I got the job was, Brett Jody was a pitching coach of the Somerset Patriots. I worked out for them and he called Joe to get me to the Jackals, and Joe didn't have a spot. And he called Ed when the third baseman went down. And that's how I got there. And I didn't know this for years because Ed called me and said, you've come recommended. We'll see you tomorrow. So I was like, well, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to say, yes, sir. Let's go play. And I got there and I never knew. I didn't know if it was my scout. I didn't know if it was Brett Jody. I didn't know who it was. And then it turned out like later on, like years after playing with the Jackals, that Joe was like, oh yeah, I got a call from Brett Jody. That's how I knew about you.
Yeah.
So
You
a
never
lot
know,
of cool
man.
connections. Yeah, a lot of cool connections. But that's, having Ed there was amazing because I knew Ed and I knew what I was bringing to the table. But the hardest part about the Jackals is Joe likes to wheel and deal, and he brings out a lot of experience. We have big leaguers on that roster. I was told we have a AAA third baseman. His visa's not ready, so he's going to be the starter when he comes here. So take advantage of the opportunity if you can. And then I met guys like Isaac, Isaac Pavlik and some other guys that year, and they made me feel like this is what it's about. You show up, you do your job, you go home. You have a manager, we're here to win. This team wins. We're all here to get to the next level. And anybody that thinks they're above this team or above the game is going to find out really quick that, they're going to get humbled very, very quick. So
yeah, the team chemistry with the Jackals was unbelievable because my transition so I asked for my release from the Nationals because I was back and forth. In 2011, I finished off in AAA. And in 2012, I went back to spring training, did really well in spring, AAA and couple games in big league spring training, but I got staph infection like a week before camp. Not that I was going to break with AAA. Who knows? But so, and I stay in extended. then they're sending me between low A and high A, and they kind of got their guys, and I'm just floating around to that point in time, and I'm like, man, and I was talking to Brian Daubach, who was with the
Yeah.
Red Sox, and he's my guy, and
Great dude.
yeah,
Great
awesome.
dude.
And I would talk to him, and he didn't realize I was from Brockton because he had indie ball ties.
Yeah. He
So
was a
he
manager in
knew,
Pittsfield.
yeah, so he knew it, and I was like, yeah, I'm from Brockton. So when I ended up leaving and asked for my release, he was like, hey, I'm gonna make some calls for you. And he actually got me on the Jackals a month after I left. And it was the same thing with the passport. Like, do you got a passport? In 1 week, we're going. And I'm like,
Yeah,
so
it's always, I swear it's always that. It's never like
yeah,
we're home for 20 days. It's, we're going to Canada tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I don't have a passport. I don't go anywhere. I don't have a
Yeah,
car.
what do you mean a
you know?
passport? Yeah, I don't even have a car.
I don't have a car, dude. You need passport. Where am I going?
Yeah.
But
That's funny, dude. What a great guy. He was a manager in Pittsfield. I
Mhm.
think when you were with us, right? When you were with the Jackals the next year, or was it that
I
year?
was with us the next year because when I
Yeah.
went in, my last year, he got the low A. I think he was the low A coach
Right.
of the Hagerstown Suns for the Nationals.
Yes.
So then we started talking there, and he
Yeah.
was like, "I thought you were from Jersey." I was like, "Nah, man, I'm from Brockton." He's like, "I used to coach in Pittsfield. I know the area." So we kind
So it
of
was
built that.
after. Okay, so it was after then.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he had
okay,
gone
so
from Pittsfield to the
okay.
Nationals, and
Yeah, because they
because
had a
when my
similar.
first year, Pittsfield wasn't there. It was the first year the Brockton Rocks weren't there.
Yeah, dude. And
Because
oh, man, Brockton was so good in the league. They had so many veterans. Brockton was a great place to play. They were really good, hard nosed.
yeah,
Right. So then Pittsfield was there 2011. 2011 and 2012 they weren't, because then Pittsfield folded and a lot of those
yeah,
guys went to Worcester.
yep.
Brockton folded, and that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
because initially when I was always thinking if this doesn't work out, because you start to have your year or two where you start to fade out of affiliate and you're like,
you
all
see
right,
it.
I'm not a starter anymore. And then all of a sudden you're on the Phantom and you're like, hey, you're going to go to high A just in case. I became the
Yeah.
guy that, like, when Strasburg was rehabbing, they would send me to that team, activate me for a day, because I could play
Jeez.
outfield.
Yeah. Right.
So if he's just on
Yeah.
like, hey, you're going to throw 50 fastballs today, he would get hit.
Yeah.
And then they would have me just run around in center field just trying to catch everything, and then the next day I was kind of off. And I
That's
would
such
just
a
follow
hard
some of the
place to
hurt.
be in.
Oh, it definitely was. It was. And I was talking to my buddy about a month ago, and he was saying, you kind of did the Baker Mayfield before Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So I did really well in 2008, my rookie ball season. I hit over 300. Things were going good. And then, like, 3 weeks into my season in low A, I dove for a ball, landed on my thumb. And for the rest of the year, I was just top handing everything because I couldn't swing the bat. But I was prideful, and I kind of fed into you're our guy mentality. And I'm like, I can play through it. And I hit like 210.
And now no one
So
cares.
fell off the radar. And in the
Yeah.
early years of the Nationals, this is like 2 years after they moved from the Expos to the Nationals, there were like 3 new GMs in the first 4 years. So after my second year, it was a new GM. They're like, we don't care what you did in rookie ball. You're not our
Yeah.
guy.
No, well, that's how I ended. It's so funny you say that, because when I left the Mets, it's exactly what happened. I was in the Omar Minaya group, and
Mm.
we always felt like the people in the minor league system, they would change things all the time to keep up with the Yankees, to keep up with whatever. Guy goes down in the big leagues because he picked up a 50-pound dumbbell. All of a sudden, we're not lifting more than 50 pounds. Like, guy gets hurt in turfs because he just slipped. Everybody's in cleats now. Nobody wears turfs. Crazy stuff. You cannot lift this. I remember there was a time in spring training, David Wright was going to LA Fitness so he can go lift and bench because they wouldn't let him
Yeah.
lift above certain weight.
Yeah, we had the same thing where we were. You would get fined if you lift
Yeah.
more than a 50-pound dumbbell.
Yeah. So, and it's all because of somebody got hurt in the big league side who's, you know how it goes, dude. Guys come in and they're not in shape. They're using spring training to get in shape and they get hurt. You know, they're doing karaoke's or whatever in turfs. They slip on field 3 and now he's got a knee injury and now I got to wear cleats every day. So it's but similar situation, dude. I remember being in a structural league and it was like the Mets downfall was happening in the 2007 where they were leading the division and they got swept by the Marlins to end the year and missed the playoffs. And a lot of us were like, yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
the way everything was operating was so miserable. And people were like, if this happens, we get to go up. And if they keep struggling, this guy will be out.
Yeah, they're going to
And
clean house, and you're watching the
oh,
position of the guy
yeah,
above you and above him.
yeah,
You're like, everyone's doing bad at center field, man. My
yeah.
last year, I was doing the same thing.
Oh,
And the last year I was there, like the center fielder in AAA was hitting like 350. The guy in AA is hitting like 325 with 10 bombs. And I'm like, maybe I
where
should
do
play
I fit in?
second base again.
Yeah, where do I fit in, dude? Who's playing second? Yeah,
I'm gonna pretty
hopefully,
soon I'm gonna be getting that
yeah,
boxed in from the guy behind me, turning around
yeah.
and looking.
As long as Michael Burgess doesn't play second, I think I'll be all right.
I know exactly.
I
Yeah,
played against
that's
that
how
guy
it
in
was.
Gulf Coast. I was like, oh my God.
I played
It's like,
high A.
jeez.
I think I played high A with him,
Yeah,
and he's just like a
missiles.
mini tank,
Yeah, missiles.
and he would just drop bombs, man. It was
Bombs.
unbelievable.
Yeah. It's
You
fun
know?
stuff, man. It's fun stuff to look back on, but like, yeah, I had the same thing. Omar Minaya got fired. Everybody cleaned house. Terry Collins came in. I sat in the room on the last day and he looked at me and they said, we don't have a place for you. We don't want you to go back to Brooklyn. You're too old. You've already been to low A. We don't think you have a future in high A or above. And I barely knew him. And that was it. And I
This guy
looked over
summed
at the
you up
other
on paper.
Yeah, and I never knew him. I never really talked to him. I talked to him a little bit. There was a guy that was going to be playing first, which by the way, I wasn't playing first at all, but this guy went off in spring. He was a senior sign, played in rookie ball, and was like 26 years old and hit a bunch of homers. And they said, we're going to put this guy over at first to start. And I was the odd man out. And then that guy didn't do well, got sent to short season, did well, but he was like 26 or 27 in a rookie ball league or a short season league, and then he got released. And he was a great dude, but it was like Terry Collins' outlook between things as Omar Minaya and Tony Bernazard was running the minor leagues at that time. And Bernazard was a guy that everybody just feared because everyone was like, this guy's nuts. And
Yeah.
he was the guy famous for going on the bus and trying to fight a player after a game in Binghamton. And I look back on it and I remember being like, God, this guy, everybody was always like, so everybody was like, if this guy goes and Minaya goes and we're going to go. And then I realized I was a part of their system. And I remember I was in a meeting when I didn't break camp the year before and Bernazard was the only guy that was like telling me what to work on. And they were like, shoot, hey, you got to this. We don't think you can this. We don't think you can make it this. And then Bernazard cut the guy off. He's like, bat speed. You need to work on your bat speed. You need better back speed. Yeah. And he just straightforward. And I was like, all right. And then my mentor, as I got older, before I got to the Jackals and I met my hitting coach, he knew him very well. And he was like, that's my guy. He's like, I wish I would have been with you earlier and knew, and then you start to realize the stuff that adds up, right? And I realized, man, I didn't know a thing when I was with the Mets. Yeah. And I didn't have any veteran leadership because you were only in the crews, in the groups of guys around your age who are bitter, high round picks who have money, Latin guys who got money, or guys who are just in that stage of like, they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So you don't get, and the guys that I got veteran leadership from were on other teams. Lucas Duda was a guy that I would hang out with. Daniel Murphy was a guy that I'd hang out with. But as the years would go, they would go up and then they're in big league camp and I don't see them anymore. So I don't have these conversations or a guy to walk by and say, hey, this, and this. If I'm in the cage with Duda and the hitting coach comes in and says, hey, I need to talk to Duda, like I got to leave. It's like, I wasn't getting the stuff that I figured out later on being with the Jackals when you're playing with guys like yourself.
Well, the cool thing too is like it's cool, but it's very tough because when you start to go independent league, you have to figure it out. Where what I had to, like early on, there were discrepancies between hitting coaches and certain players.
Oh yeah.
Because the turnover was so much as this new organization from the Expos to the Nationals was trying to figure it out, trying to find out who their guys were going to be. So you would always have arguments when people would come in town. hey, they're in town and everyone gets a little bit tight. They're trying to tweak.
Brass is in town. Now a hitting coach has got you off the high tee. He's got you doing early work. I felt the same way. I felt the same way. I felt like I was taken care of heading into my last season. I was going to go to Brooklyn, short season, and the Mets used to kind of create that team as if you do well in Brooklyn, you can go to high A, right? So I wasn't like tripping out about not breaking. I was when I didn't break camp to go to low A. And I just realized in looking back, like I wasn't hitting homers. I led the league in doubles in Kingsport and the Appy League, but I had no homers. It's like, now I'm really not hitting homers. What's the point of having this guy around? Ultimately. So when I went to Brooklyn, they were just trying to make sure I didn't get hurt. And then I struggled there. And I remember it feeling that way, where it was like things were going well during extended spring. And now we're here and Brass is in town, and all of a sudden we're on the high tee. We're doing stop drills. We're doing short toss drills. We're doing short bat drills. And everything's a problem. I think you this. I think you that. And you're just in my face with stuff. And when I got into independent ball, and a lot of it was credit to my hitting coach when I got home and I met him later on, was just caring less. And like, just kind of having that effort in your system of like, I missed the ball today. I want to work on missing the ball. Like we'd work on missing the ball because it was like my balance and my swing was so perfect, and he was throwing balls away. And I was just so confident that I could literally let the ball beat me and take a perfect swing, that when I decide that I want to go catch it out front a little bit more, I'm going to hit it 1,000,000 feet.
Yeah.
So, and Joe allowed us to be that way when we got to Jersey. It was, I signed you to be the player you were, show up and do your job. That's it. Don't be late.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be treated like an adult and not feel like you had curfew and stuff all the time.
And I had to deal with that as well. Yeah, and that's it. And that's tough to deal with. Yeah, and not that I was going out, but it's just an extra burden of stress that you're already stressed out enough, man. So indie ball was great. I loved everything about it. The Jackals, 3 years I was there, I mean, it was my best moments of my career. I mean, I obviously had really big success when you were there. But I learned a lot from these guys that were coming in. I mean, our shortstop Angel Barreau is a rookie of the year, and you see a guy go about his business and he's cool and he treats you the same way that you would treat anyone else. Like, we had a great team. We had great guys. And there was a good rapport between conversations with the team and the coaches. There are times where business takes over, and that's just a part of it. But I also appreciate that. So I had a great time in Jersey, and I think the biggest perspective when I take out of independent ball and I talk to people that are either going into independent ball or trying to figure out if they're going to take a next step in their career after getting released is, if baseball is your passion and you don't have something taking you away from it, go. If you have a kid and a family and you got to start a job and you're moving or whatever it is, I completely understand. If you don't have a kid, you don't have that girlfriend, you're not getting married, whatever it is, and you have time, do it, because you're going to be, number one, you're going to have a great time. You're going to experience baseball the way it should be played. And you're going to learn from other players, and that's how you're going to learn. There is no longer a coach taking you off to the side trying to keep his job because he wants the roving instructor to know he's doing whatever it is he's got to do in his charts. And you get screwed over, and then if you don't listen to him, you're a bad character guy, and now you're getting reported as a horrible person, and you're getting released because you didn't listen to the guy about a drill. Or maybe you saw him out at the bar that night, and he thinks you said something because he's married. Like, you don't have that in independent ball. Like, you go in and you do your job, and you find out who's who and who's not. And you're either going to pick up on it or you're going to say, I don't like it.
So when we played independent league ball, it's a little different now. I look at, because the Brockton Rocks are back now.
Yeah.
They're back now. And the leagues have kind of changed and that kind of stuff. But with us, it was all, I mean, there was only a couple of people who didn't play affiliate ball.
Yeah. And
so you were around everyone that had, number one, you're around everyone that as soon as they walk through that door with their previous team's bag, they're kind of on edge, like, I don't belong here. Like, like, I don't belong here.
My agent said I'll be out of here in a week.
2 weeks, bro. 2 weeks. This is just a quick stop,
All right, bro.
Like, all right, buddy. We've seen it. We've seen it happen with everyone.
Okay, because the other teams are going to, and this is something I realize having opportunity to get signed out of indie ball is, you're taking someone's job. In
There's
order
not ex
for
yeah,
in
there's
order
not
for
extra
them to
spots.
sign a contract and bring me in, that means someone's gotta go. And then a new crop of people are being signed in the summer when the draft picks come. You have to take a spot. So when you get to indie ball to start and they go, "Well, I'm out of here." It's like, "Okay, bro." But that means somebody that's on a roster already has done poor enough or did something that the organization doesn't want to continue on with, and they're going to go get you who they don't know. And they're going to tell you you're taking that guy's job now.
Yeah,
It's very rare.
with affiliate ball, there's time to develop. With indie ball, it's
You got
only production.
you got to do
That's
it
it.
now.
When I first got in there, and Joe, the same thing. I get in there at, I got to New Jersey at 12, and he's like, "You're in the lineup," and I'm like, "All right, we're right at it." And same thing as you. It's like I haven't swung for like a month,
Yeah.
type of thing, and you're in there right off the bat, and then you meet someone like Isaac, and you take a look at his work history, and you're like, I can't
Jesus.
mess up for this dude.
Yeah,
And then you find out
right.
he's like the heart and soul type of. So you're like, yeah, I can't let this guy down.
Yeah.
And then you look at the guy next to you, and he's like, I ain't gonna be here alone. And you're
it's
like,
so funny.
you better enjoy
so funny.
Wally's old peanut butter and jelly sandwich because he ain't leaving anytime soon.
Right. Well, it's funny though, because you look at a guy like an Isaac who pitched, you're like, "Yeah, Jesus, 18 years. This guy, what's he been doing?"
Yeah.
And you look at it, but then you get to know the person, you get to know the character, you get to watch this guy perform, and you see and you go, "Oh, I get it now." And then you see the smile, you see the energy, you see the breakdowns, you see the knowledge, and you go, "Oh, I had no idea." Because a lot of guys think, you look at a guy who's played a long time, he's just an indie ball lifer. He's a semi-pro guy. He doesn't care. Or, there's a lot of stuff when I got there was like, oh, there's PEDs were going on in the early 2000s and into my time with the Mets. Everybody that's an indie ball, you're never going to get back to affiliated if you go to indie ball because everybody's juicing. And then you get there and you're just like, okay, yeah, maybe there's some guys, but like in my personal experience, I didn't see anybody that was either doing it or told me about it. So, and also there weren't numbers going on that you were like, this is a joke. This league's a joke. This is Bush League. It's sloppy. Guys are roided out, or guys are fighting, or their jerseys are untucked, or walking on and off the field. It's like, that's not it at all. So the people that haven't experienced it or talked down on it, it's unfortunate. But when you get to experience it, like you said, you meet a guy like an Isaac and you see 16 years and then you watch this guy carve people up and say the same things as a Pedro Martinez would, you go, oh, okay. So this is about the business and opportunity. This isn't about the talent because it's there. And the talent's there for all of us. Like you said, a rookie guy. Speaking of guys not drafted, like you think about an indie ball perfect story is like Chris Colabello from Worcester.
Yeah.
Didn't get drafted. I played against this guy for years. He was unstoppable every year. And he got his opportunity late in his career. He took advantage of it. And he played 4 or 5 years in the big leagues and was part of one of the best playoff games ever with the Blue Jays and the Batista pimp. And he's hitting homers the other way in playoff games. And he's, like this whole avenue opened up. And I remember watching this being like, whoa. And then the next year I had success, and a lot of it had to do with watching that season and seeing there is success and there is light at the end of the tunnel with somebody who hasn't gotten the opportunity. And I think overall that is what the joy of it is. I want an opportunity to get to the next level, but I'm going to have as much fun as I can playing here, and I'm going to try and win, and we're going to have a great time doing it. Because the difference between getting picked up off a team, obviously you got to put up the numbers, bottom line. And some guys don't, and you just go, it just doesn't make sense, right? But overall, you got to put up the numbers. If you're on a bad team, nobody's going to watch you. Nobody's looking at your numbers.
Yeah.
Your numbers have to be Barry Bonds on a bad team. You have to hit 30 homers and you got to hit 350 and you got to drive in 100. If you're on a good team and you hit 300 with 15 to 20 and you play good defense or whatever, you have an opportunity. So when guys come in indie ball and they go, I'm about getting out of here. What do you mean winning? I don't care about that. They find out very fast that if you're on a bad team, there's no one coming to watch these games, dude. No one's going to be here.
And it's also how good is the league? Because, who are you hitting these home runs against?
Yeah, and I think when we were there was a lot of experience.
Yeah, there was you were facing off on a lot of good people. It's not just about, like you said too, it's not just about the numbers in many ways, because if you fall out of affiliate and end up in indie, in some people's mindset, you fall from here, you landed here. But it's like that's also the time to rebuild yourself, to maybe get
Absolutely.
back to who you were as a hitter that led you to get drafted or
Yeah.
led you to get picked up as a free agent. That's part of the process too, of like, okay, he finished off hitting, you know, 230. He hit
Yeah.
275 this year. The next year he hit 305 and learned this, and he's
Yeah.
really kind of transformed his game. He's using this level that he's in to be in the moment.
Yeah.
If you're just the guy
It's
who's
huge.
looking to get out,
Well, you need that.
yeah,
You need people around you to show you that. And one of the reasons I kept going back to New Jersey was because of that aspect, because each year I was getting better, each year I was learning. My first year with the Jackals was the first time I got X amount of at bats, and I hit over 300. I had 100 hits. My defense had always been the reason why I was there, and now the hitting's coming along. Oh, okay, now let's look back on a season and go, okay, I had a few balls that I hit to left that faded out to center for outs. If I could keep 4 of those straight, I have 10 homers now, and now maybe
yeah,
I'm at 310. If I could keep this ball straight, and that's what brought me into my year to 2012, was finding a better rhythm within my swing and unleashing that beast inside that I know I had, but being able to keep balls fair
yeah,
and keep it straight.
hmm,
Because a lot of the balls that I hit in 2011 were fading out, and they were flyouts in New Jersey. It's 400 feet to center, and there's that marine layer comes across, and
oh
it's
yeah,
tough. So I said, well, how can I better my swing at this place, at this field? And it was, I got to keep more balls up to left field when I get those balls. When I hit them to left, they got to stay straight.
yeah, because you hit 22
Yeah,
in
and
in my first year when I was there. You were just on fire. You had 22 home runs in 92 games. You hit 316 and had 76 RBIs. Like, and then on top of it, you walked 19 times for the times that they didn't want to, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
the amount of home runs in comparison to games in just in that culture too.
it's
Not the perfect setting, you know.
yeah, yeah. It's I put a lot of work in. I put a lot of work in that year, heading into that year, because, and I had the right mentor. My hitting coach, Eddie Williams, played in the big leagues 10 years. He was best friends with Tony Gwynn. He had hitters like Nelson Cruz and Adrian Gonzalez. So it's like one of these things you're like, I'm not going to not go there. I
Yeah.
need to be around this guy all the
Mhm.
time. So I did everything possible to be around him as much, to the point of I was driving 40 minutes to get to the place in the cages to go hit with him. And he'd say, get here at 7 o'clock. And I'd get there, and he wouldn't show up till 8:30. And he'd show up, and he'd be like, "What's up?" And then we'd walk in and we'd hit. There was no like, "Well, what the hell? Why are you late? What is this? What is this?" It was a part of this rebuilding of, it's in there. You just haven't had the right person teach you how to do this thing. I
Yeah.
wasn't getting the right advice, and my swing wasn't good. And we were able to put that together within 2011, 2012, and obviously so forth. But to come back to somebody in the off season and have them tell you to your face what needs to happen, a lot of guys don't have that. I was fortunate enough to have it. I wish I had it earlier in my career, because I do feel like I would have made the big leagues, um, and or at least had an opportunity to learn what it takes to get there. Taking care of your body, among other things, right? So I had the luxury of having him say, "You got to put up the numbers. You hit 308 with 6 homers. Okay, it's time to put the effing, put the effing numbers up. It's time." So it's, what are we going to do that? So I maintain that, along with the idea of try not to care as much, because
Yeah.
the work is the process. I'm showing up early to hit here with you. I'm going next door to LA Fitness to work out. I'm getting lunch. I'm driving back in to where my high school is for high school practice. I'm taking batting practice there. I'm taking my ground balls there. And then there's times where another pro guy's around, because we had a couple of them from our high school. Hey, you want to hit after? Yes, I do. Let's do it. Let's get on the field. And now we're out on the field after. And you're putting in this work, and it's just now happening on a consistent basis. It's no longer, and I'm watching these guys who are an affiliate, who are in AA and AAA, and they're taking a swing and they're stepping out and they're breathing and they're rethinking and they're frustrated and they're like, ugh. And I just think I'm so content and happy with what I feel right now. And I know nobody can hang with me right now.
Yeah.
I know it. And that's what it felt like for that year. And when it started happening early in the season where every ball I was hitting was just over the fence, or when I would miss a ball, I was getting hits, and I'm 2 for 4s every game, I'm going, nobody can touch me. And when I got to spring training with the White Sox, I was like, these guys can't touch me. And I was really watching guys nervous, afraid of the coaching, not knowing, sitting in the locker room, screwing around, not talking to people. I remember getting in there being like, what's up, guys? What's up? And I'm 25 at the time after that big year I had.
Yeah.
And there's guys that are fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, and they're on their iPads and they're like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, where's early work? Oh, I don't know where it is. And I'm looking around going, what's happened? You know, I'm thinking, oh my God. And I remember a guy, and you can attribute to this because you talked about being like on the Phantom and going to different teams. In spring training, when a guy goes, I was in a AAA game yesterday, dude. It was amazing. They were so relaxed. These guys just didn't care. And this is like a guy in the low A group talking about how cool it was to be in the AAA game.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there being like, that's not a good thing for you. You're probably out of here in a week.
Yeah.
So you might want to figure it out, because going to a AAA game means you're expendable and you're going to get released very soon.
Yeah. Especially if you haven't been at that level yet.
Yeah, you're a low A guy playing in a AAA game because they had a AAA guy that went to the big league game, and now they don't have enough guys to field a team to go play the Rangers over in Surprise or whatever.
The AA guy's not going to move.
He's going to break camp with AA.
That's what made me feel comfortable.
Moises Alou's a little tired, so he's scratched from the lineup. So